Welcome to Historium channel. In today's video, we're exposing lost photos of the past that shocked many historians, and why experts warn these images could be erased from history forever. What you'll witness by the end will leave you speechless. A photograph showing a Canadian soldier comforting an orphaned baby in the ruins of Belgium. Behind this quiet moment, a war that stole 20 million lives. The child's parents vanished. No records, no graves. This image was taken on November 3, 1918. A French woman welcomes an American soldier in France. This photo was taken 2 days after the city was liberated in 1944. Her reaction is so priceless. In 1938, this photo captured Cheng Benhua, a Chinese resistance leader, moments before her death. She fought against occupation forces and faced brutal treatment after her capture. For decades, her story was suppressed. Today, she stands as a symbol of unbroken courage. In May 1916, a crowd gathered in Waco, Texas, around the aftermath of a tragic event involving Jesse Washington, a 17-year-old African-American. The photo's power lies not in the act itself, but in the bystanders' chilling indifference, a stark lesson in complicity. By April 1945, Allied forces reached Dachau. In this photo, 2 men hold shovels as those responsible for the camp's horrors face consequences. The image marks a pivotal shift from oppression to accountability. In January 1928, a smuggled camera captured the first photo of its kind at Sing Sing prison. Ruth Snyder, convicted in a high-profile case, became a media obsession. The image sparked debates about privacy, ethics, and the public's thirst for spectacle. By April 1945, Benito Mussolini's regime had collapsed. This photo shows him and his ally Clara Petacci in Milan, where crowds gathered to witness the end of an era. Their fate became a symbol of tyranny's inevitable downfall. In 1936 Kentucky, a vendor selling drinks at dawn as crowds gathered for a heavily debated event. The photo's focus on everyday life contrasts sharply with the tension in the air, a reminder of how history unfolds in plain sight. In January 1945, Leonard Russo, an 18-year-old soldier with the 2nd Infantry Division, fought in the Battle of the Bulge near Butgenbach, Belgium. This photo captures a rare moment during one of World War II's most intense battles. Russo survived, but many soldiers his age did not. August 1957 marked the first official commemoration of Poland's Warsaw Uprising. Many veterans in this photo had recently been released from prison under Poland's former regime. The event symbolized a fragile shift toward acknowledging suppressed history. In 1941, the Mari Battalion performed a traditional haka in Egypt during World War II. The ritual, rooted in their culture, served as both a morale booster and a reminder of their heritage. Their unit became one of the most decorated in New Zealand's military history. This photo shows Adolf Hitler walking with Helga Goebbels, daughter of his propaganda minister. In 1945, Helga died in Hitler's bunker alongside her siblings. The image contrasts the regime's public image with its grim reality. Simo Häyhä, a Finnish soldier during the 1939 Winter War, was known for his effectiveness in combat. Using a standard rifle, he became one of history's most noted snipers. In 1940, he was seriously injured by an enemy soldier, but survived the war. This staged photo from 1937 shows Japanese soldiers interacting with local girls in Nanjing. Such images were used to downplay the war's atrocities. Historical records reveal a stark contrast between propaganda and reality. In July 1932, World War I veterans marched to Washington, D.C., demanding early payment of promised bonuses. The protest ended when General Douglas MacArthur's troops forcibly dispersed the group. It became a symbol of government indifference. On Christmas Day, 1942, a Papua New Guinean guide assisted an injured Australian soldier. Locals like him, nicknamed Fuzzy Wuzzy Angels, were critical to Allied survival in the Pacific. Their contributions were vital, but often overlooked. In September 1885, Jumbo the elephant, a famous circus attraction, was killed by a train in Canada. His death drew international attention and marked the end of an era for traveling animal shows. On March 6, 1963, singer Roger Miller viewed evidence from a plane crash that killed country musicians Patsy Cline and others. The crash occurred the previous day in Tennessee, altering the course of country music history. In July 1942, female students in New York worked together to recreate wartime propaganda posters. Their art became part of the effort to rally public support during World War II, a quiet but vital role in shaping history. By 1967, American pilot Everett Alvarez had spent 3 years in detainment after his plane was downed over Vietnam. This photo, rare for its time, shows him with a guard, a stark glimpse into the complexities of wartime captivity. In 1916, officers from the Ottoman Empire, Germany, Bulgaria, and Austria posed together in Wiesbaden. This photo reflects the tangled alliances of World War I, a moment of unity before the conflict reshaped their nations forever. In December 1942, a Japanese soldier stood in the waters off New Guinea during a standoff with Australian forces. His refusal to surrender, captured in this photo, highlights the extreme pressures faced by soldiers on both sides. In 1996, 18-year-old Keshia Thomas shielded a man from a crowd during a protest in Michigan. Her act of humanity, amid intense division, became a symbol of compassion over conflict, a reminder that courage can emerge in unexpected moments. In 1909, Lewis Hines documented Mrs. Bonner and her 2 sons working in a Georgia textile mill. Together, they earned barely $8 a week after losing their farm. This photo exposed the harsh realities of child labor and economic struggle in America. By August 1944, 18-year-old Simone Seguin joined the fight to liberate Paris from occupation. As a resistance fighter, she risked her life to reclaim her city, a story of youth stepping into history's spotlight. Just a quick reminder, if you appreciate this journey through history, consider subscribing to support more videos like this. In 1940, the average RAF pilot was just 20 years old. Squadron leader Brian Lane, pictured here at 23, carried the weight of command during the Battle of Britain. He lost his life 2 years later, a face of the war's toll on a generation. In October 1862, Abraham Lincoln met General George McClellan near the Antietam battlefield. Their tense discussion came after one of the Civil War's bloodiest battles. This photo captures a pivotal moment in leadership during a fractured time. In February 1942, factory workers in Flint, Michigan gathered around the final Buick built before factories shifted to wartime production. This moment marked the end of an era. Cars gave way to tanks and planes as everyday life changed for millions. By December 1961, Syrian women participated in parliamentary elections, a rare democratic milestone for the region. Their presence at polling stations symbolized hope for progress, though political shifts would later reshape the country. In April 1971, Michigan principal R. Wiley Brownlee faced retaliation after proposing his school honor Martin Luther King Jr. A student captured this photo of him seeking help, highlighting the risks many took to challenge discrimination during the civil rights era. During World War I, Austro-Hungarian forces enforced harsh measures in Serbia, leading to immense loss of life. By 1917, nearly a quarter of Serbia's population was gone, a tragedy often overshadowed by the wider war. June 1964. Motel manager James Brock poured chemicals into a pool to drive out black swimmers during a civil rights protest. This act, captured in photos, became a symbol of resistance against segregation and the courage of those fighting it. October 1968. A student-led protest in Mexico City ended in tragedy when government forces intervened. The event, largely censored at the time, remains a painful chapter in Mexico's struggle for free expression. In October 1940, a Canadian soldier's young son broke free from his mother to hug him before deployment. This iconic photo, titled "Wait for Me, Daddy," humanized the personal toll of World War II, a moment of love amid global chaos. April 1923. Over 70,000 fans packed New York's new Yankee Stadium for its first game. The Yankees beat the Boston Red Sox, launching a legacy that would redefine baseball history. By 1923, Germany's economy collapsed, and money lost all value. In this photo, children fly a kite made of worthless banknotes, a haunting metaphor for a nation in crisis and a warning from history. In October 1940, Albert Einstein and his daughter chose to become U.S. citizens, settling in America as tensions rose in Europe. This decision marked a new chapter for the renowned scientist, offering him refuge during a turbulent era. This aerial view of Berlin in 1945 reveals a city transformed by war. Crumbled buildings and empty streets tell a story of resilience and the daunting task of rebuilding a shattered world. At the 1936 Berlin Olympics hockey final, India beat Germany 8-1. After the game, Hitler even offered the Indian star a chance to play for Germany. On May 2, 1992, during the Los Angeles riots, a California National Guard soldier escorts a surfer out of Venice Beach, which had been closed to prevent large gatherings. This 1902 photo shows a one-year-old Hirohito, decades before he became Japan's longest-reigning emperor. A quiet glimpse into the early life of a figure who'd witnessed immense change in his nation. October 1970. Jazz legend Miles Davis attends guitarist Jimi Hendrix's funeral. Their friendship bridged musical genres, and Davis's presence here underscores the deep connections and losses within the music world. In 1974, during filming for Monty Python and the Holy Grail, John Cleese took a playful break with a soccer ball. This behind-the-scenes moment contrasts the film's absurd humor with the cast's everyday camaraderie, a rare glimpse of levity during a legendary production. In 1910, two brothers from West Virginia posed in uniforms from opposing sides of the American Civil War. Their story, likely staged for the camera, symbolizes the personal fractures caused by national conflict, a reminder that war divides more than borders. April 1912. 16-year-old Ned Parfit sold newspapers in London, announcing the Titanic disaster. Tragically, he later lost his life during World War I, a short life bookended by two of history's defining events. During the 1890s, Armenian women took up arms to defend their communities amid widespread unrest. This photo, from 1895, honors their resilience, offering a rare look at the untold stories of women in resistance movements. A mother and son in Qing Dynasty China pose with their military father's swords. The image blends family pride with tradition, capturing a fading era as China faced internal and external pressures for change. On January 18, 1965, in Selma, Alabama, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is attacked at the Hotel Albert by a member of the state's rights party while he tries to register. This incident is part of the civil rights struggle. December 1972, the U.S. launched a controversial air campaign over North Vietnam, targeting Hanoi and Haiphong. While framed as a military strategy, the bombings drew global criticism for their human toll, a turning point in public perception of the war. December 1945. A German orphan tries to trade his father's wartime medal for cigarettes. This haunting image symbolizes the collapse of old symbols, where honor and survival collided in the rubble of post-war desperation. On April 27, 1945, at the three-country cairn, Infantry Regiment 1 raises the Finnish flag. They celebrate the last German troops leaving Finland. This event ended the Lapland War and World War II for the Finns. In 1942, RAF pilots flew daring low-altitude missions to disrupt enemy operations in occupied Europe. Their targets included Gestapo headquarters, critical to weakening control over resistance networks. These raids, often timed to the minute, saved countless lives and showcased precision in wartime strategy. January 1963. President John F. Kennedy carries his daughter Caroline's doll during a family walk. This candid moment contrasts sharply with his role as a global leader, a rare glimpse of a father, not just a president. During World War II, American women worked side by side in aircraft factories, building planes for the war effort. Their skill and dedication redefined gender roles, proving that the home front was as vital as the battlefield. At the 1964 World's Fair, a woman towers over a miniature New York City, a 1 to 1200 scale marvel of engineering. The model symbolized optimism for urban futures, blending art and ambition during a time of rapid change. In the late 1930s, Japanese high school girls participated in military drills, a reflection of the era's national mobilization. These exercises prepared civilians for roles in a society increasingly shaped by wartime demands. In February 1968, this Pulitzer Prize-winning photo from Vietnam's Tet Offensive shifted global views on war. The man in the frame, Nguyen Van Lem, became an unintended symbol of conflict's human cost. No words were needed. The image spoke for itself. This 1933 photo from Berlin shows priests saluting Hitler at a Catholic youth gathering. It captures how the regime sought to co-opt institutions, blending ideology with tradition to consolidate power in its early years. June 1945. A U.S. Marine tries to communicate with two young Japanese soldiers captured on Okinawa. The pair claim to be 18 and 20, though their youthfulness hints at the war's toll on a generation thrust into conflict too soon. In 1954, French paratroopers at Dien Bien Phu faced overwhelming odds during the First Indochina War. Despite fierce resistance, the battle ended in defeat, signaling the decline of colonial influence and reshaping Southeast Asia's future. In 1911, 4-year-old Mary worked shucking oysters in Dunbar, Louisiana. Her mother, the fastest worker there, earned $1.50 a day, often holding her sick infant while working. A stark glimpse into early 20th century labor struggles, where even children contributed to survival. June 1984. British police confronted striking coal miners in South Yorkshire. This photo captures a mounted officer directing his baton at a photographer during tensions over strike-breaking trucks, a symbol of the era's fierce debates over workers' rights and state power. Men of the Royal Flying Corps pose in France during World War I. These early aviators played a critical role in reconnaissance and combat, bridging the gap between traditional warfare and modern air power. In 1923, 20-year-old Albert Tangora set a world record by typing 141 words per minute. This photo, though undated, celebrates an era when typewriter speed was both a skill and a spectacle, a precursor to today's tech-driven competitions. August 1944. A Free French soldier aids a civilian after hidden snipers targeted crowds celebrating liberation. Amid the chaos, moments of solidarity underscored the human cost of reclaiming Paris from occupation. During World War II, over 2,000 women served as snipers in the Red Army. Their precision and resolve challenged stereotypes, proving critical to the USSR's defense against invading forces. April 1964. Chess prodigy Bobby Fischer faced 50 opponents simultaneously in Hollywood, winning 47 matches. His dominance at 21 foreshadowed his historic 1972 World Championship victory, a legend in the making. On April 1, 1975 in Nha Trang, people fight to get on a plane during the U.S. withdrawal from South Vietnam. The scene captures the rush and tension of that day. During the Deutsche Zentralafrika expedition of 1907 to 1908, Mtusi performs a high jump of 2.50 meters. The photo records this impressive athletic feat. On June 6, 1944, in the Colosseum of Rome, an Italian woman examines the kilts worn by Pipe Major William Makanaki and Pipe Major William Boyd during a public event. In January 1945, in London, England, a boy sits amid the wreckage of a building after a bombing raid during World War II. In 1879, Sir Richard Owen stands next to a moa skeleton while holding the first bone fragment ever found from this extinct bird. In 1951, American World War II veterans are seen at Arlington National Cemetery, honoring their service and sacrifice. During World War II, the region of Šumadija saw complex tensions between different groups, including Serbian Chetniks and others resisting occupation. This photo, taken during that time, offers a glimpse into the era's challenges. Historians still discuss its exact story, but it reminds us how war reshapes lives, where loyalties could change quickly and people faced impossible choices just to protect their communities. On New Year's Day in 1914 in Japan, a smiling girl wearing a kimono enjoys a moment of celebration. If you were a bystander at the Monson Motor Lodge in 1964, would you risk intervening against such an act of hate or stay silent to protect yourself? Let us know in the comments. If you haven't subscribed yet, you might never see this channel again. So make sure you're subscribed and get more videos like this.